Hey guys, this is another rant video that I'm making, this time about the migrant crisis that continues in Europe. My dog's barking in the background, so I apologise about that. My sinuses are also blocked, so my voice is going to sound a little bit weird. So anyway, let's get into this. So, the jungle in Calais, I'm pretty sure everyone knows about it, so it's basically where migrants that are wanting to go into the UK go to, because there's a passage that allows them to go from the from Calais to the UK. So if you see here, there's Calais down there, so that's a port. And over here is our jungle, and there's a road there. And I think, so what happens is that you've got this port here where people can take ferries, and the ferries will take them across the North Sea, and it'll take them through the English Channel over to Britain, which is over here. So that's one way. Another way is, say, if I go to directions, I'll get rid of that. So if I want to get to, say, Dover from Calais, France, you'll see that I can either take a ferry, or that's also a ferry, but there is also an underground tunnel. So if I were to go to here and I were to say England to France tunnel, so you'll see that there's a tunnel which actually, it's a 50.5 kilometre rail tunnel. So but also there's a tunnel, I think, that lorries, sorry, I'm using British terminology. Over here in Australia we call them trucks, but for the sake of it, lorries which can bring goods from Europe over to the UK. And if you look here, here's a tunnel. So England to France truck route. Okay, my internet's incredibly slow. So anyway, there's this channel tunnel that allow goods and services, just goods, to be transported from France to England. We had a friend in Australia who would go from England to France to get her wine, probably because English wine wasn't that great. But I digress. So let's get back to the article at hand. Won't worry about that. So, a horrific crash as a jungle migrant gang targeted tourists in cars in a terrifying new technique. So if we go through this, so this is the aftermath. So let's read through this together. So ruthless gangs are deliberately causing crashes on the roads to the French port by hurling large objects as cars, then sneaking in onto lorries caught up in the resulting tailbacks. So these migrants are getting into lorries. So if I go Calais, lorry, migrant, we can see some pictures about what they try and do. So you see here all these people that are trying to get into all of these lorries, and we've got tourists too who are being put in danger by all of these people. And you know, now something like this is happening. So let's read how this happened. So a statement about it being okay, so the victim in this was a reporter, Ben Ellery, and all of these other people. They were injured when their British-registered Audi swerved to avoid a missile. So just something that was thrown at their car to try and get them to stop. They then hit the lorry, sending their vehicle to spin out of control. So if we read the information, I think it was a 38-ton lorry or truck. We're going by Australian words. So this is just getting ridiculously dangerous. They then... so we've got all of these accidents. So this here is sort of a schematic diagram. So we've got our crash here on this main, I think, highway, which is where you go to the port, where I think you have... Okay, so the lorries hop onto ferries which go over to Britain. So this here is the jungle where a migrant camp. So what they're doing is that they're pulling off tree branches, logs, etc., and they're putting them on the ground to get cars to stop. Sorry, I'm just going to have some water. And then you see what they try and do. They try and get into the truck. So it's just getting beyond ridiculous. So we're investigating a shocking explosion of violence into the camps. And I'm sorry, I identify as a left-leaning person, but I don't identify with the left who want these people coming into places like Britain. I honestly think that they should be either put in prisons or they should be deported. It's absolutely disgusting what's happening here. And I'm just pissed off that the governments over there aren't doing jack shit to fucking help these people. So tourists are being attacked by these people. Yeah, so this is what frustrates me. So, okay, so we've got this here, but these people are supposedly from Syria, when as a matter of fact, a lot of them are from North Africa, which is over here. A lot of them are from places like Afghanistan, Iraq, etc. The refugees are supposed to be from this region here. And what they're doing is that they're travelling along Turkey, which is providing them a safe haven. Turkey, they're going all the way to Istanbul, where they'll try and get over to Greece. And from Greece, they have been trying to go all the way up here, through to Hungary, all the way through Austria, Switzerland, and somewhere over to Germany. My geography is terrible. Here, so this is a gold mine, the welfare gold mine. But some of them aren't happy with that, so they're also going to Paris, where they can get a vantage point into England, where they'll get welfare. So this whole situation is just driving me insane. And the violence, so on top of it, and the terrorist attacks that you've got on top of it, I have very little sympathy for these people. So we've got that out of the way. So the French minister has pledged to close the camp. I don't know where they're going to go. Numbers have swelled from 3,000 to more than 9,000 people. Want him to speed up the process. So 200 police officers have been dispatched. Calais police source have told the Mail. Projectiles. So we've got all of this happening. So the amount of violence is just getting ridiculous. Yet they might be desperate, but doing stuff like this is just not on, and it's making me lose sympathy. Like, when you think of a refugee, you don't think of someone who's in clothing like this, listening to music on their smartphone. I don't know, maybe, and they're all men. Like, you barely see any women. I remember seeing a photo of a woman being forced to carry all the men's luggage and stuff, and it just disgusts me because these aren't the people that I think anyone in the West wants. Nobody wants people like this. Yeah, if there's refugees, give us women and children. Don't give us these military-age men who are going around raping people and throwing stuff on the road to get cars to stop. Like, these are calculated attacks, and so there's are there any comments here? So there's comments here, but before I finish up this video, there's a few other things that I wanted to talk about. So we've got these who set a car, who attacked a French family in their car. So like, I understand why they're wanting to clear up this situation as soon as possible, because, you know, people are being attacked. I honestly think that this connection here should be temporarily, I don't know, I think there should be a military presence, not a police presence, but a military presence, and possibly even a temporary ban on being able to travel between this area until things get sorted out. I know that a lot of people in France are wanting these 9,000 migrants who are here in Calais to go over to England, but if they're throwing you know, tree branches and attacking people, why should they be given asylum? They should be either put in prison or deported. Like, this is a camp here. To get a size of it, 9,000 people reside in this. It's a reasonably large camp area, but 9,000 people in this thing here, this shanty town. Okay, maps isn't exactly great to look at it, but I'm wanting to. So, like, this is the damage that's happening to people. These people are ungrateful and they're entitled and just violent. Like, they don't care about anyone apart from themselves. Here we have a truck or a lorry that was set on fire by these migrants. You know, you've got people who drive these lorries who are terrified that there'll be a knife-wielding group of men in the back of their cars. There's going to have to be a security checkpoint thing like what they do on the Mexican border between the US and Mexico, where police go through, scan, have the mirrors underneath, you know, check cars, flag any cars that possibly may be carrying stowaways, possible x-rays of lorries. There's going to have to be a beefed up presence to make sure that criminals like this aren't getting away with what they're doing. I'm going to try and find the news article where fire was actually set to the road. I don't believe these people are refugees. Migrant with chainsaw. A fucking chainsaw. A Belgian driver was part of a group. He had a chainsaw and, like, yeah, this was what I was talking about. That, like, fire across the road, and then you've got these, I think that's a machete there, and chainsaws. Like, who wants these people in their country? I don't want any of these people here in Australia. I'm thankful that our government has set up offshore detention centres like Nauru, which, if I type that in, it's a tiny little island a fair way away from Australia. And, you know, talking about terrible treatment, but, you know, in Australia, we're just telling them, if you're going to pay a people smuggler or something to bring you here and try and jump the queue, then, you know, we're not going to have any of that. You know, We've had two people set themselves on fire, and things that, I understand things are dreadful on these islands, but if we just say anyone can come here, it'll end up like Europe. People say, oh, no, 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 it won't be, but it will. So there's one island here in Nauru where they're being put into detention for breaking the law, because they are breaking the law by not going through the legal channels to get here to Australia. I've tried searching up Manus Island. I think, here we are, Papua New Guinea. This is another offshore processing area that we have set up with Papua New Guinea. So what we've been trying to do in Australia is work with a lot of these neighbouring Asian countries to try and really stop the boats and the people smugglers. What was it, a while ago? We had a group of ISIS terrorists, or who wanted to help with ISIS. They were driving a truck up along here to go to, I think it was either Cairns or something, to launch off a boat where they would sail off to Syria to help fight with ISIS. We've had a lot of people from Australia who have been wanting to join ISIS and leave, and I honestly say, let those people leave, strip them of their passport, and if they were to ever set foot on Australian soil, they would be either deported or put into maximum security prison. I'm honestly sick of it. I'm sick of the terrorist attacks. I'm sick of the attacks on just normal tourists or people who are just wanting to do their day-to-day thing, travel between, whether it be travel between London, Calais, or truck drivers just wanting to do their job and transport goods across countries, and these migrants in Calais are just making an absolute disaster. So here, and I feel so sorry for them, and I wish that the government over there in France would act a bit more swiftly instead of putting these people through so much torture. Anyway, I think I've talked enough about this subject. It really gets me upset. I don't know what the solution is. But I don't know. I think it was a really bad idea for Merkel to just say anyone can come over to Germany and will provide asylum if you're a Syrian refugee, because very few of these refugees, in apostrophes, are refugees. The majority of them are men, and they're just doing terrible things to the people over in these countries. So anyway, thanks for watching this video. I'll possibly make more videos on this topic, as I think it's important to rant about this and just discuss it. I don't know if this video will be monetized, because YouTube's going through this thing where they don't like you talking about certain topics, but I thought I'd make this video anyway. So thank you for watching. I hope you have a great weekend, and cheers, goodbye.